like we're already doing it, but we must remain on the sidewalks. Please do not stand on the grass. The other thing is, if someone wants to cross the street, you cannot interfere with them. We cannot block the sidewalks from regular pedestrian traffic. We are allowed to be over here on my left, in front of Gateway, which is blocked off, of course. We can go down the sidewalk here, immediately on my right. You will see some yellow caution tape. That is to keep you off the grass. And you'll notice that the sidewalk that's going toward the building there does have a sign there saying private property. You can stand in that sidewalk, but please don't go past the private property sign. We can go down on my right here, as far as Quasar, if you'd like. That area there is open to us on the sidewalk. Please do not stand on the grass. That's out of bounds. Also, later we'll probably be telling you about a walk, but someone else will cover that. Now, the question may arise, why are we at this location? OCCA did a little bit of a study, and we found out that Irvine, especially the Spectrum area, is the center pretty much of Orange County. Not the geographical center, but the population center. It does have a lot of places where you can be seen. Unfortunately, we are not allowed inside the Spectrum for reasons that will be explained later. But we are allowed here on the sidewalk, and from what we've seen so far, it's a great location. I also want to mention that I am here in place of Barbara English, who really is the acting chair of our group and our spiritual guru. But she's out ill today, and unfortunately, she cannot be here. So, Barbara, I know you're with us in spirit if you can't be here. Exactly. Now, showing your signs, it looks like everybody knows how to show their signs, so I don't have to tell you, but make sure that the people that are either passing by or in cars can see them. And I think everybody's done that so far, so I don't need to harp on that. So now, I'm going to turn it over to the gentleman who's going to be your master of ceremonies for the rest of the event, and a member of OCCA. And Roger, where are you?
Behind you.
Ah, you're behind me. Good. I don't have eyes in the back of my head, but what the heck?
Be careful.
Okay, I will be very careful stepping off. Roger. Hello.
Good.
Welcome to this public street outside the Irvine Spectrum. This is not where we'd hoped to be, but let me just say that Irvine Spectrum management was less than welcoming to our event. I don't think they were prepared to deal with an event of this magnitude and enthusiasm inside the shopping areas on Black Friday weekend. So I guess I'll leave it at that right now. Carl cautioned you on the rules to remain on the sidewalks, and that goes for during our program here. We have 10 speakers, and we have an optional march after if you want to participate, which will also be strictly on public sidewalks, on Spectrum Center Drive, etc. So, and despite OCCA's best effort to organize and orchestrate everything, I think the rally started about 45 minutes ago, and I appreciate all the enthusiasm. So thank you for joining us today. This is a significant date, not because it's Black Friday weekend, but because the international climate talks in Paris begin tomorrow. Environmental groups have called for rallies like this one all over the world, asking for bold action and a strong agreement among our international leaders meeting in Paris in the next 10 or 11 days. It's doubly important that we're here today because public events and marches in Paris, which would have been massive, were canceled by the French government as a result of the recent horrific terrorist attacks there. On this Thanksgiving weekend, let's be thankful that we're able to assemble here in the relative safety of Orange County, California. So now we'll get on with the speaker part of our program. Our first speaker is representing the United Nations Association of Orange County. She's a member of OCCA.
Louder.
I will try. Okay. Feel free to say louder. Better? I think the volume's already up. I'll just have to keep this like right at my lips. Okay, that's better. Okay. Not used to these things. Anyway, from United Nations Association of Orange County, please welcome Virginia Bernal.
Hi. Climate change is the defining issue of our time.
Amen.
It is the ultimate test for our global community to unite and meet a challenge that knows no boundaries. The United Nations has been leading the effort to address climate change for 23 years, bringing together thousands of scientists from around the world to share their climate studies. As you all know, the reports from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change have shown ever-rising average global temperatures. The United Nations has also brought countries from around the world to attempt to negotiate climate agreements. The UN Framework Convention on Climate Change is the treaty by which governments agreed to meet annually since 1995. It amazes me, it's been so many years. And the meetings are called Conferences of the Parties. That's the reason for the COP abbreviation. The conference that starts tomorrow is a culmination of efforts, and yet we need to consider it a first step. The goal of the COP21 is to finalize negotiations on a treaty that applies to all countries, each one to make their own individual policy decisions on how to limit global warming. The goal is to keep global warming below 2 degrees centigrade, which in Fahrenheit would be 3.6 degrees. And that is a level that is now considered way too high by some scientists. These 2 weeks of final negotiations are not expected to achieve the commitments needed for us to keep global warming at a safe level. That is why the culmination of the treaty is really a first step. Consider the difficulty of getting over 190 countries, very different countries, to come to an agreement. And because negotiations are done by consensus, not by majority, groups of countries, including our own, have often blocked progress. That's one of the reasons we're going so slowly on this. So much more needs to be done. That is why our climate rallies here, throughout our nation and around the world, are so important. We the people need to demand, and we support the negotiators, we still need to demand that our leaders try harder to lead us to new ways of living in balance with our nature, with the environment. After the tragic terrorist attacks in Paris, the massive demonstrations that were planned, as you know, were not permitted. That makes our rallies elsewhere so much more important. Will humanity be able to transition to a carbon neutral future soon enough? The world has the required human, financial, and technological resources. What we need is a social and political will to fully deploy them, and sooner rather than later. The UN provides an international legal framework for our governments to collaborate to reduce emissions, build climate resilience, and provide or promote a sustainable development. Some 40 of its specialized agencies coordinate their activities to support ambitious action on climate. But they too can be overwhelmed, as can be seen with the current refugee crisis. Our responsibility as citizens of the world is to stay active in our popular movements, to insist on continued and rapid improvements to whatever climate agreement is reached in mid-December, to become informed, to vote, to lobby, to rally and march. This groundswell of action here and around the world will continue beyond Paris. Thank you.
Okay, could I ask you, there are several of you that are on the grass. Could I ask you to maybe come forward?
Actually, that's okay.
That's okay, okay.
It's okay.
All right, it's okay. On this side of the tape is okay, apparently. Thank you very much. Our next speaker.
Move up a little bit. Roger, move up.
Move up. A little bit. You're going to get pretty tippy there. Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
Wow, okay, I brought this platform, so I guess I'm responsible for what happens.
We were just going to say that.
Our next speaker, who I just met a few moments ago, looks too young to be in politics. I guess I missed my chance to be in politics a long time ago, and I'm not sure, I'm sorry I did. But anyway, let's give an enthusiastic welcome to the mayor of the city of Garden Grove, Mayor Bound Wynn.
Great, thank you. Hello, Orange County. How are we all doing today? That's right. Thank you so much to Orange County Climate Action for organizing this. I know it takes a lot. And we're all here. This is a great crowd today as well. You know, first off, I want to say that I'm the mayor of the city of Garden Grove. I'm also a candidate for U.S. Congress. And, you know, I come from a country. I'm a refugee from Vietnam. And government in Vietnam isn't so good to the people. And so it is our responsibility where we live in a free country to voice ourselves and to make sure that our nation is responsible for our own actions and that we lead the way in these Paris talks. You know, Vietnam is also, according to the World Bank, the country most affected by climate change rising sea level. And a lot of immigrants, a lot of refugees from all over the world come to our country. That's our foundation. That's who we're about. And the reason why this trend continues to happen is because corporations who are seeking more profit on the backs of labor are destroying their environment all across the globe.
Stop the TPP.
This is our planet, and we're not going to stand it, are we?
No! Hell no!
You know, we cannot ignore the science. And the science says climate change is real and it is happening. And we're all being impacted by that. The question is for our political leaders right now, our global leaders, is what kind of world, what kind of planet do we want to leave for our children and for our grandchildren?
Clean.
You know, a clean future, an energy efficient future, a future that develops good jobs based on the science of where we want to be in the future. And those jobs are going to be for our children.
Yep. Stop the TPP.
You know, that's the reality here. We cannot allow the profiteers in our global system to destroy our planet. That's why we're not only here in solidarity with our planet, we're here in solidarity with the workers across the globe.
Yep.
That's the reality. Is that right?
Yeah.
Right. Solidarity with everybody.
You know, this is an important opportunity to lead in Paris, for the United States to lead in COP21. Now, we must take action locally as well, and I know you all have been. As mayor of Garden Grove, I think it's important that we invest in clean energy, that we let residents know, homeowners know, that there are programs available to switch to solar technology so that we can be solar powered. You know, that we can support our families and our homes with the new technology. We must also continue to push for greenhouse gas reduction, specifically here in Orange County. You know, our state of California has 3 of the top zip codes that are most polluted in our country. That's California. We're supposed to be leading the way. Are we? No. That's why we need our leaders, and we need all of us together to spread the word to our families and our communities so that we know what's at stake. It is our future, our planet, and our globe.
True.
Thank you.
You know, California does continue to lead the way, and that's what we're doing right here in Orange County. You know, I want to thank you all for being here, and I want to thank the organizers and the leaders of Orange County Climate Action for inviting me. And I'm with you. I'm with you all the way. You know, this is our planet, and we're going to make sure that our grandkids and our grandkids' grandkids deserve a better planet. It's our actions today that have an impact now. And right now, let's send a clear message to Paris. Let's have them hear us loud and clear, Orange County. We want change, and we want it now, and it takes everybody to change everything. Is that right? Yeah! All right, thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thank you, Mayor Nguyen. This is the part of the program. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. This is the part of the program where I take my MC hat off and I put my speaker's hat on.
You can sit down.
We are Orange County. We are Orange County for Climate Action. We're here today because, as our banner says right here in front of me, to change everything, it takes everyone. Yeah, yeah. The international climate talks in Paris begin tomorrow. Environmental groups have called for mass rallies globally to demonstrate to our national leaders that we want a strong agreement to rein in carbon emissions. This is a matter of long-term survival. Past international talks have largely failed. Most recently in Copenhagen in 2009, a goal was agreed to limit global temperature increase to 2 degrees Celsius from the start of the Industrial Revolution to the year 2100. Well, we're already well on our way to 2 degrees, and keep in mind again, as Virginia said, that that's 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit. There were some problems with the outcome from Copenhagen. First, no one is certain if 2 degrees Celsius is a safe limit. Is it sufficient to prevent major sea level rise, increased droughts and floods, extreme weather events, population displacement, climate refugees, and famine? Second, no specific commitments were made by nations in Copenhagen to support that goal. No targets were set, no monitoring and enforcement mechanisms were put in place. Paris must do better because time is running out.
Thank you.
Why is this so hard? Because carbon emissions have been baked into our lifestyle by the Industrial Revolution, which undeniably made our lives better for nearly 2 centuries. But with exploding population, resource depletion, rampant consumption, and globalization, the game is up. The planet can't sustain current levels of consumption, and it's already showing signs of strain. Here's the thing. The economic and political forces resisting the climate movement are formidable. They favor the status quo because until recently the status quo served us well. And also, the status quo has been extremely profitable for certain entrenched industries in our economy. This is why climate change is unique among all challenges that civilization has faced in the past. Two industries that represent a huge part of our economy, fossil fuels. Two industries that represent a huge part of our economy, fossil fuels and animal agriculture, are responsible for most of the greenhouse gas emissions being dumped into our atmosphere. As for fossil fuels, coal, oil, and gas, it's increasingly about extreme extraction methods used to extract more carbon when we should be using less. Tar sands, hydraulic fracturing, mountaintop coal removal, deep water and Arctic drilling. That's fossil fuels. So what about animal agriculture?
Yep, vegan.
The dirty little secret is that animal agriculture's impact on greenhouse gases is as great as the entire transportation sector, mainly because methane is at least 25 times more potent in the atmosphere than CO2.
Yep.
Factory farming is also a wasteful use of land, water, and resources. Here in the U.S., we grow massive amounts of corn and soy to feed animals simply so that we can eat animals. We should instead be growing corn and soy to feed people. Here's what we've come to. Only a mass movement of people all over the globe, in the streets, demanding action, will force political leaders to act. That is why we are here today. As part of this mass movement, we need to speak with our votes by electing political leaders who will act, and by driving out politicians who make deals with fossil fuel and agribusiness contributors. We also have the power to speak with our consumer dollars. Buy products locally from small businesses and farmers markets. Here's a big one. Know where your food comes from and how it's produced. Increase your personal energy efficiency with your next vehicle purchase, the miles you drive, your home appliances. Consider home solar. This we believe. The climate movement now more than ever is about social justice, sustainability, and peace. These ideals are bound up together. And please remember our banner when you leave here today. To change everything, it takes everyone. Thank you.
Step forward.
Putting my MC hat back on. Our next speaker is representing the Climate Reality Project, Candice Nunez. Please welcome Candice.
Hey, Candice. Be careful. There you go.
Thank you. Just want to start off by saying our planet that we share is beautiful and vast. Yet our atmosphere is fragile and exposed to pollution caused by CO2 emissions from fossil fuels, methane, agriculture, and deforestation plays a vital part. The greenhouse gas layer is thickening and global warming has increased by 40% since pre-industrial times. The science is clear. When we burn dirty fuels like oil and coal, we are polluting our air and warming our planet. Global warming is causing extreme weather events around the world. There's a disruption of the water cycle affecting our weather system. With more heat, there is more evaporation of moisture from the oceans into the atmosphere that is causing intense rain downpours that are bigger than ever before, producing major flooding and sea level rise. Snow and glaciers are melting faster than ever. Droughts and floods are getting worse. The same heat causing more evaporation from the oceans is simultaneously responsible for the floods that is also dehydrating and pulling water from the soil. which is causing longer droughts globally. Tragically, this will increase if climate increases and we will have more refugees. We need to put a price on carbon in the markets and a price on denial in politics. There are solutions available and there is hope. We can all help mitigate climate change and prevent CO2 emission of greenhouse gases by using new technologies, changing our consumer habits, being more energy efficient, and using alternative solutions like solar and wind, renewable energies. By these technologies, we are getting rid of dirty energy, causing this polluting air. 1 hour of the sun's energy is all the energy we need for a whole year. Climate change mitigation is something we can all do together, globally, universally, that will just help us move towards a low-carbon society and cleaner air for our future generations. We can also bring in solutions into our schools by providing our youth eco-STEM and STEAM curricula, activities focusing on mitigating the impacts of climate change. Our generation has challenges and we can all come together with solutions. Tomorrow is the United Nations COP21 summit in Paris on climate change. There's an expected outcome on a new international agreement on climate change among 190 countries. Today, we are here to support the negotiations for climate justice and to bring awareness that we can all make a difference in our community, our work, and our everyday lives.
Yay, thank you. Step forward a little more.
Thank you, Candice. We have a number of people here from a number of different organizations from diverse backgrounds and a similar point of view on climate change. It's beautiful to see. Our next speaker from the Roman Catholic Diocese of Orange is Greg Walgenbach. Please welcome Greg.
Thank you very much. I'm with the Office of Life, Justice, and Peace for the Catholic Church, and I want to thank all the people of faith that are out here today and all the other people of goodwill. It's good to see everybody coming together and agreeing and working together on this issue, right?
All right.
As a Catholic, along with other, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Along with other Christians and people of many different faiths, I say at the outset that the fundamental problem that we are facing is a failure to acknowledge that this world is a gift from our Creator that we have no right to trample underfoot. The very first story in the book of Genesis is the non-violent creation of all that is. And the nature-filled images in the parables of Jesus and his words, we hear him say, "Consider the lilies how they grow. They neither toil nor spin, yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not clothed like one of these." All these call us to align ourselves with the non-violent care of creation, what Pope Francis has elsewhere called a revolution of tenderness. And we have to ask ourselves if we're ready to show tenderness and mercy towards the created world around us. Human beings, according to the Bible, are to keep and to till the natural world. But as Father James Martin put it recently, sadly we've done a good job of tilling it, but not such a great job of keeping it. And there's a great video on the Care for Creation that you can see him in on that. It's very good. Pope Francis speaks of a very solid scientific consensus on the disturbing warming of the climatic system, accompanied by a constant rise in the sea level and extreme weather events. That's his quote. He emphatically states, quote, "Humanity is called to recognize the need for changes of lifestyle, of production and consumption, in order to combat this warming, or at least the human causes which produce or aggravate it. A number of scientific studies indicate that most global warming in recent decades is due to the great concentration of greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrogen oxides, and others, released mainly as a result of human activity. The problem is aggravated by a model of development based on the intensive use of fossil fuels, which we've heard much about, which is at the heart of the worldwide energy system. Another determining factor has been an increase in changed uses of the soil, principally deforestation for agricultural purposes. That's Pope Francis, right there, kind of trying to make it clear about what we're all agreeing upon here. The Paris talks are important because governments around the world must act, but the people of the world must provide leadership, must act, must stand in solidarity with the poorest and the most vulnerable among us. In the letter to Catholic bishops around the world, Cardinal Peter Turkson, who's in the Justice and Peace Office at the Vatican, recalled the World Meeting of Popular Movements earlier this year. Pope Francis observed that justice often requires prudent political action from elected officials. At the same time, the Holy Father recognized that simply to rely on well-known or high-profile leaders for action is not enough. This is his quote: "The future of humanity does not lie solely in the hands of great leaders, the great powers, and the elites. Rather, it is fundamentally in the hands of peoples and in their ability to organize, what you are doing and have been doing today and in the past and in the future. It is in their hands, which can guide with humility and conviction this process of change, your hands." Recent popes have pressed the case, and I'm speaking as a Catholic here. We can have many faith communities share their deep commitments on these issues and a wide level of agreement. Now, St. Pope John Paul II warned against the problem of consumerism and the way human beings set themselves in the place of God and thus end up provoking a rebellion on the part of nature. He reminded us of the connections between authentic human ecology and the treatment of the rest of creation. Pope Benedict XVI was known as the Green Pope. He made Vatican City the first carbon neutral state, a largely symbolic action which nonetheless spoke to a commitment to practical and systemic solutions. He addressed the need for a global authority to oversee the worldwide redistribution of energy resources and guarantee the protection of the environment. And now, of course, Pope Francis has promulgated and expanded upon this social teaching in his encyclical Laudato Si on the care of our common home, and I do recommend that you all read it. It's excellent. And this is what he said. He said, "We have to realize that a true ecological approach always becomes a social approach. It must integrate questions of justice in debates on the environment so as to hear, and this is crucial, both the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor. And it is the poor of the earth that are suffering and will suffer most due to climate change. Our relief and sustainable development agencies like Catholic Relief Services and faith organizations throughout many different faiths and religions work around the world and see daily the impact of climate change upon the most poor and the most vulnerable. Pope Francis has said, if we destroy creation, it will destroy us. When we reject the gift of the Creator, we suffer along with the rest of creation. So for the sake of the human person, especially the refugees of war and climate change, climate disaster that are a part of the largest migration of people since World War II, for whole ecosystems cleared, destroyed, and lost, for corporate profits, for animals facing increased rates of extinction, for all these and so much more, in the name of God, defend Mother Earth.
Thank you, Greg Walgenbach. Our next speaker is a member of OCCA and president of the Orange County Interfaith Coalition for the Environment. Please welcome Trav Williams.
Well, I was asked to give about a 5-minute presentation, but I decided to make it a little bit shorter. I'll be as loud as I can. I'm sorry, I don't have a loud voice. Can you hear me better? Yeah. So I was saying I'll keep my presentation a little briefer than I planned. It's been said, blessed are the brief, for they shall be invited back. And I was looking around and estimating at least 100 people are here today, but then it occurred to me, you know what? There are about 7 billion people here today, because this is a microcosm of the world, and it's a beautiful sight to look out and see so many different people from different backgrounds, different colors, different sizes, shapes, ages. Even our friends from Anonymous are here. Thank you for your support. And most importantly, it's beautiful to see the children, the next generation here, sitting so attentively and listening. It's just a beautiful thing. So, again, I'm representing the Orange County Interfaith Coalition for the Environment, an organization that's been around for about 15 years, and one of our founders, Margaret Henke, is here today. I'm going to read for you the Interfaith Call to Action on Global Climate Change from OCICE, the Orange County Interfaith Coalition for the Environment. And this is for everybody, primarily for people of faith. Do we have any people of faith here today? Wonderful, but this message really is for everybody. As people of faith, we are called to treat all of creation with reverence and respect. We are inspired to be good stewards and take actions to protect and preserve the great gifts we have been given. Since everything in creation is connected, when one of us suffers, we all suffer. Our faith community accepts the overwhelming scientific consensus that global climate change is real, primarily caused by human activity, and poses imminent and dangerous threats to every part of creation. Individual actions, while commendable, are not enough to mitigate current climate disruptions and prevent catastrophic consequences. We must engage in effective and comprehensive action to provide the hope of a livable, sustainable future for our children and our grandchildren. Creation knows no borders, and solutions will require international governmental action. We call on all people of faith to raise their voices. Let me hear you raise your voices. And engage with their legislative leaders. We advocate for putting a high price on carbon to reduce the use of fossil fuels and catapult the development of alternative fuels. As people of faith, in partnership with our Creator, we can move mountains. Amen. We commit to taking action to ensure environmental equality and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Trav Williams. For those keeping score, I think we have 4 more speakers. Good speakers, right?
Yes!
Want to hear more? Yes! Okay. Our next speaker is Dr. Bill Honigman. He's representing Progressive Democrats of America. And Truth and Disclosure. He's a true progressive, my personal friend, and a really great guy. Welcome, Dr. Bill.
All right. Watch yourself.
Yeah.
No accidents here. Hi, everybody. Hi, Dr. Bill. Okay, we're going to play I Say, You Say. Okay, hi, everybody. Hi. Okay, now say, healthcare, not warfare.
Healthcare, not warfare.
Yeah, now say, windmills, not weapons.
Windmills, not weapons.
Now say, education, not incarceration.
Education, not incarceration.
Yes, this is a good group. Thanks, everyone, for being here. I'm Bill Honigman, Dr. Bill, hence the name, hence the outfit. I'm an ER doctor. I worked all night last night, so I need to go home to bed. Yay. But anyhow, thank you all for being here today. Thank you, OCCA, for sponsoring and organizing this event. it truly does, to change everything truly does take everyone. So I thank you all for being here. A lot of you were with us when we shut down the San Onofre nuclear power plant. Right? We testified at the Roving Nuclear Regulatory Commission meeting down in San Juan Capistrano. Folks like myself brought to this distinguished panel of scientists, physicists, and nuclear particle type guys, the indisputable fact that if you already have a nuclear leak going on and we end up with something like Fukushima, what happens to Orange County? It's gone, uninhabitable. We're all out of here, all the way up to LA County, all the way down to San Diego. Gone, out of here. That they could not argue against that. They shut it down. Thanks to everybody here who did their part. Thank you. That's called thinking globally and acting locally. That's what we're doing today. We're thinking globally and acting locally. There are undisputable effects of climate change going on right now. I heard yesterday, 14 people died in flooding in Texas, right here at home in Texas, from flooding, from catastrophic flooding. They've never experienced flooding like that before. People were taken off guard and were drowned or killed because of flooding. There's a little thing going on in a country called Syria. Anyone know about that? A little group called Daesh or ISIS. Why does that exist? Because they had severe drought. Yes, they did, just like we do. They had severe drought that kicked family farmers off of their farms into the city and created a tremendous unemployment and unrest situation in central Syria. And now they have opened revolt and catastrophic change going on in their country with refugees spread all over the world and idiot Congress members here who won't accept them. That's what we're talking about, thinking globally and acting locally. I'm proud to say that Progressive Democrats of America, People Demanding Action, is our 501c4 organization, has stood for a carbon tax. A carbon tax we push every month right here, Mimi Walter's office in Irvine. We push her to vote for a carbon tax. Will she do it? Not in my lifetime. You know, maybe the kids, you guys keep working on her. She's around. But anyhow, we have stood for that for a decade or more since PDA was founded in 2004. Any friends of Tim Carpenter in this group?
Yes!
Yes, our old friend Tim, who helped found Progressive Democrats of America. So we're moving forward with single-payer health care. We're moving forward to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment. Yes. Yes. And we're moving forward on climate change. I'm looking personally as a physician, I'm looking at other kinds of health effects on people as well, like for example, diseases, communicable diseases that can't be stopped as a result of climate change, and these god-awful trade deals that are going on right now, like this TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership, which will remove all of these very helpful, useful, generic drugs that are used all around the world to fight things like AIDS, TB, and malaria. So this is what we're up against. We're up against the corporate climate that's destroying our real climate, and you all are here standing up to that, and I so much appreciate it. So thank you all for your involvement.
Thank you, Roger.
I say, you say, healthcare, not warfare.
Healthcare, not warfare.
Windmills, not weapons.
Windmills, not weapons.
Education, not incarceration.
Education, not incarceration.
Thank you all.
I meet with Dr. Bill every Monday without fail at a coffee house that will remain unnamed, and I'm always inspired by his hope. Our next speaker, I just met today. She belongs to too many progressive and social justice and organizations to mention, so I'm going to let her speak for herself. Please welcome Felicity Figueroa.
Thank you for that wonderful
introduction. Again, my name is Felicity Figueroa, and I want to thank you all for coming out on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. OC represent! Let's hear it!
Move forward a little bit.
Further this way, okay. Okay, well, as our MC has said, I work with a number of different organizations. I work with a number of different organizations on a variety of social justice issues. But what is interesting to me is that almost all of them either affect or are affected by climate change. It's all a question of intersectionality, as I'm sure you've gathered by the speakers before me. One of the organizations I'm involved with, Women for Orange County. How many Women for Orange County members are here? Well, we sometimes address the issue of the erosion of reproductive rights in our country and the lack of these around the world in other parts. This situation often translates into unsustainable population growth, which further exacerbates the problems we already have and are apparent because of our warming climate. The intersection of religious belief into governmental programs, something we are on the lookout for in an organization called Americans United for Separation of Church and State. NEAU members here, very important, and there are many members of faith too who belong to that organization. Anyway, many of the problems between religious interference in government can lead to misinformation or sometimes no information on climate change in school textbooks and no discussion of its dangers in the science classroom. As a consequence, we now have generations of students in our own country who don't understand and can't appreciate the immediate threat of the climate challenge. As members of Friends of Orange County detainees, any FOCD people here, we visit immigrants and asylum seekers in detention. When we visit these immigrants and asylum seekers in the detention centers here in Orange County, and there are 3 of them, we understand that many of them have been driven to our shores because of prolonged adverse weather conditions in their homelands that have made their agrarian lifestyles no longer tenable. As Naomi Klein points out in her recent New Yorker article, and as Dr. Bill pointed out just a few moments ago, quoting Secretary of State John Kerry, it's not a coincidence that immediately prior to the civil war in Syria, the country experienced its worst drought on record. As many as 1.5 million people migrated from Syria's farms to its cities, intensifying the political unrest that was just beginning to roil and boil in the region. All of this is why it's so important for those of us working on distinct progressive social justice causes to realize that climate change is intimately related to and ultimately underlies all of them. And if we let the inevitable consequences of climate change proceed undeterred, none of these other issues will even matter. As for me personally, of course I worry about the future for my own children and their offspring if we fail to adequately address the reality of climate change. But we occupy a position of privilege here in Orange County. Anyone heard of white privilege? Yeah. Or even the privilege of the upper 10% of economic affluence? So I'm sure my kids will be far better off than the children of the Latin American and American detainees we visit, or those of mothers in the Middle East who have minimal resources to cope with rapidly deteriorating conditions. Or even those families in the poorer areas of our own country who do not have access to the information or financial means to withstand the changes a warming climate will bring. We are all members of the same race, that is the human race, and we need to take responsibility for both the well-being of our sisters and brothers in this world, and actually we have to take responsibility for the well-being of our planet as well. We've got our work cut out for us, so onwards all to Paris. Thank you.
Get forward a little bit.
Thank you, Felicity Figueroa. Okay, I've been cautioned about the podium again. This only needs to hold up for a couple more speakers. Our next speaker represents the next generation. She's a PhD student from UC Irvine and a University of California Climate Fellow under the Office of the President's Carbon Neutrality Initiative. Please welcome from UCI, Kimberly Duong.
Yay, Kimberly. Step forward a little bit. There you go.
Hello everyone, my name is Kimberly and I am a PhD student at UC Irvine in the Department of Civil Engineering.
Closer. There you go.
I am also a climate fellow for the Carbon Neutrality Initiative, an effort across all 10 campuses of the University of California to become carbon neutral by the year 2025. My role is to strategize UC Irvine's plan to reach net zero carbon. I am also president of Climatepedia, a student organization dedicated to climate change education, outreach, and awareness. I'm here to tell you about my climate story. Let me rewind 20 years ago to the year 1995, when I experienced my first brush with environmentalism. I was 4 years old. I was 4 years old on a road trip with my family to Disneyland. As we entered Los Angeles, I saw for the first time an ominous gray cloud looming over the city like a monster. I asked my father, "What is that big dark thing in the sky?" He responded nonchalantly, "Oh, it's just smog, it's always there." Nobody else in my family was concerned. And this memory really stuck with me, and it highlights an important lesson I want to share with you all. And that is that inaction is the greatest obstacle we face today. We know that human-induced climate change is no longer up for debate. The scientific consensus is clear and the impacts are already visible. We have heard the call to action for years and it is only growing louder. So what can we do about it? How do we as individuals in Orange County, in ourselves and in others, address inaction? We must convey the fact that climate change affects everyone and that each person has an influence on our climate. We must first become aware of our carbon footprint based on our daily routines, from our grocery list to our transportation choices. Thinking about these decisions helps make the problem tangible. Secondly, we must understand the connection between our decisions today and the outcomes tomorrow. Children today will inherit the home that their parents leave behind. This is not only a global issue, but a personal one. Lastly, we must educate ourselves about the impacts and solutions. Increased heat waves and drought will become more and more common in Orange County, but we can improve our future by producing more solar energy, transitioning to hybrid and electric vehicles, and voting on policy measures that reduce carbon emissions. I'd like to point out that the air quality in Southern California has improved greatly in the last 20 years. We now face another issue that requires attention and immediate action. It may not be as obvious as a big, dark gray cloud in the sky, but I am confident that we will overcome inaction and pave a more sustainable path forward. Thank you.
I want to take just a second here to recognize 2 or 3 people that have been trying to prop up our banner that few people can see. To change everything, it takes everyone. Lynn Smith and her companion and my friend Jim Ward have been doing the whole duty here.
And Donna.
Donna. Okay, nice to meet you, Donna. Thank you for helping. All right.
Thank you.
We have another speaker. He's a member of Orange County for Climate Action, our group, and I believe he's also regional director of Citizens Climate Lobby. Good rah-rah guy. Please welcome Craig Preston.
Hello, Orange County! I'm Craig Preston. I'm Craig Preston with Citizens Climate Lobby, and I'm a member of the U.S. population. And we're here to be citizens and have a voice in this process. So I'm proud of all of you for being here. I thought about what message do I want to put on my sign today? What's going to be there? I'm inspired by what I see here. And I came back with Climate Action Now. We thought here we have Paris, 190 countries coming together to act, and it would affect our lives. And we want them to know that we don't want them to not do anything. There's going to be a lot of debate over what to do, and we want that debate to happen. But doing nothing is causing horrific damage and threat to the human race and to all life on the planet. I'm about to fall off here. So, here we are. And I wanted to just review. I'm one of the final speakers here, but I've heard a lot of good talks today. So let's review what we've heard. We've had Dr. Bill up here talking about Texas, that some people just died in a flood there. That's going to become more the norm, that we hear of those tragedies all over the world. And these storms are greater and deadlier than before. It breaks my heart. We've heard from the Pope today that he's speaking on the idea that we need personal action and collective action. And so I know I'm speaking to the choir in some ways, but how many of you have already taken action in some way to reduce climate change? And how many of you are willing to do more? We need that. We need a big global movement for all that. But I do want to speak that it's a personal issue, that we all can do things personally. 3 times a day we all eat. So be aware of the choices you make, because eating meat is showing to be a huge impact on the planet. On the stuff we buy, that's huge. We're here on Black Friday weekend in some ways to say, be careful what you buy and how much. Because if it's too much, it has too much plastic, and that's part of the problem. And then secondly, how you move. You all got here somehow, but we all want choices on how we can have more renewable ways of getting here, renewable energy, and ways to transport ourselves. So that's stuff we all do personally. Thank you. Louder.
Okay, thank you.
But we also need collective action. That the solution is personal. I thought about bringing a mirror today and speaking to myself and say, Craig, you are the problem and you are the solution. And I shine the mirror on you. All of you are the problem and the solution. But we need collective action. And so one thing, Citizen Climate Lobby has teamed up today with Orange County for Climate Action.
Be careful.
That we can work together, and I'm so proud of Orange County for Climate Action, working collaboratively to bring groups together, because we need a movement here. Citizens Climate Lobby is acting to get Congress to move on climate change. Let me hear a, oh. Good luck with that. Thanks, Roger. It has not been easy, but since 2006, we've been seeing the needle move little by little. We have a strategy of meeting with them all the time, as much as we can. Being civil, bringing the best science, the best economics, and educating them on the issue. We're seeing the needle move, and right now we have 12 Republicans in the House of Representatives that have already signed on to say they want climate action. We need more, and I bet you a lot of people here have a member of Congress that represents you that is Republican. And so we need their constituents, you, to reach out to them and let them know that we want them to move. We want political will to be grown here, and we want them to respond to it. So if you'd like tools or ways to do that and do it with other people, we have fun while we do politics. It's called citizensclimatelobby.org. We welcome you on board. We have 303 chapters around the country, and we're growing, and we'd love to have you with us. Lastly, we heard from Felicity also about Paris, that we're here mainly to give a message to Paris that we want action. If they do nothing, that will be horrific. We need them to do something and do it soon. So climate action now. We're going to have a march in a few minutes, and it'll be just detailed soon. But let's do a little chant right now. I'll say climate, you say action. Climate! Action! Climate! Action! I say action, you say now. Action! Now! Action now! we're going to take that to the street in just a moment because we want Orange County to hear us and to hear that we're inviting them to join us in this process. And so we'll be detailing soon about we're going to be going on a march. We hope you all join us for that, a short march. That's it. Thank you.